Deepak Shenoy as well joins in on the show right now. But before I take it across to him, let me get in some closing trading ideas as well. Kunal, what's in your list?
Well, in terms of closing trade, I would look at Tata Steel as a fresh buy at current levels. The stock is looking attractive, closer to 150.51 where the stock is trading right now. It's also on the verge of a swing breakout on the short-term charts.
Right. Naresh, what about your closing ideas?
So that would be a buy on Hindalco, range breakout done for the last 2 months and good follow up today as well. So this could head up towards the 580 mark in the short term.
Right, okay, let's bring on board Deepak Shenoy now. Deepak, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in with us on ET Now. And Deepak, let's just start by looking at what's happening in the markets, right? When you look at it right now, what is it that you are betting on right now? Where are you seeing that, you could find some value?
Honestly, we've had a bit of an interesting year. So January was very good for the small and mid caps, was okay for the large caps. And then the large caps have kind of made it up in the last couple of months, while small and mid caps have retreated. But in general, we're seeing this quarter itself as more or less a flattish kind of quarter overall. But the results which will start coming in April should show at least certain sectors start to show a lot more interest from both the commentary and the numbers. For instance, the power sector, some numbers from the semiconductor players or players in the semiconductor space, the infrastructure players, because this is usually the biggest quarter of the year. And, correspondingly, some of the rail, defense companies and so on, what would have happened, though I expect that some of those companies will actually show muted results where they're dependent on government contracts, because most of the government contracts will start flowing in only after the budget in July this year. Things may be on a halt till then. So keeping that in mind, we're still very positive on the overall India story, not so much on the export story, not so much on the FMCG story.
The entire India story is also powered by a lot of this electrification names which are doing very well. We discussed some of the mid-tier T&D plays, but I want to talk to you about wires and cable. Today, look at how Polycab, Universal Cables or even RR Cable after a corrective phase has come back. How are you playing these wires and cable in your portfolio, or are you in the first place, Deepak?
No, we used to have Polycab, but after that situation with those raids, we were a little concerned about what's going to happen. So we're still waiting, in fact, for commentary from the company about what the position has been after that situation. I think that should get clear in the next 1 or 2 months. We like the sector. We've always liked it. We think FMEG, that is fast moving electrical goods, is probably a much better play in the market. All the players there, maybe save Havells, have been doing really well from a fundamental perspective, have solid growth ahead of them. But any issue like raids and all that stuff, they're not ED, I think the income tax rates. We just want to know the impact of them before we proceed. So like the stocks, probably missed a bit of the rally, but that's okay because growth is probably still ahead of us.
Inside, do you think you panicked and sold out of Polycab? I remember you wrote a lot about it. Look at Polycab. I deliberately brought it up. It bottomed out exactly around the time you sold, 3,800 odd. It's back to upwards of 5,000 and probably going back to... sometimes, in hindsight, does it give you a better picture that, one would have waited it out and see how things kind of pan out before selling?
We've seen both.
Right.
We've seen the situations where when things aren't clear, things get more murky and more unclear. If you had bought a Yes Bank on the time when the crisis came, you would have lost 99% of your money. Here, you're just losing some of the upside. It's not like we didn't make a profit. We just got out at a time when we were not clear. It's fine. You can always. The point about markets is you should always be willing to get back in at a higher price than you sold. And eventually, that's what's going to make you the money. The point isn't missing about 10, 20, 30%, but it's out of the 500% gains that you might make in a stock, do you make at least 300-400% out of that? So if you miss a bit of it, it's fine. As long as you have a process that says, well, I'm going to invest at clarity, at some layer of clarity, which I'm okay. There are always risky bets to take. Powerful people say, well, I'm going to take this risk and I'm going to get in at the time of uncertainty. We are that person sometimes, but this time we were not. So, I have no regrets because we're following the process.
Deepak, hi, afternoon. Wanted to understand if there are any other ideas in the last month or so in the recent decline that has happened in the small and mid caps. Anything that you may have added to your portfolios?
Not yet, Aisha, because I think adding to the portfolio will require us to at least look at one more result, the March quarter. December quarter was kind of okay. We didn't, see anything so useful that will add up more positions. But we're very interested in the power space. We're very interested in the industrial manufacturing space, B2B players. And we're actually either going to add more positions, add more to our current positions, or add more to some slightly new positions over there. I don't see massive opportunity being created in the last 2 months. It's just a 10 or 12% decline. Some stocks have fallen a little more. We've actually added more to our current stocks, whether it's railways, defense, some PSUs as well. We've gotten out of some of the financial stocks because I see the headwinds continuing for the rest of the year. But otherwise, nothing major. I think it's just business as usual. Add to your current positions and wait for results to make any new calls.
Okay, let's move on and talk about the holy cheer that actually happened for the quick commerce channels. Whether you look at Zomato's, Blinkit, Zepto, Swiggy, all of them saw a surge in sales yesterday. What were the items related to? How did it look like? Asta has got us a breakdown on that. Asta?
Well, Holi has added color to the e-commerce, quick e-commerce platform as well. If we talk about a single day sales, then Instamart, Swiggy's Instamart tops the list with about more than 7 lakh orders, followed by Zepto with 6 lakh orders, and followed by the Blinkit, which also have 6 lakh orders. If we talk about some fun facts which have people unique way of celebrating Holi. So a user from Lucknow literally spent whopping rupees of 28,830 rupees on Gujia on Swiggy on the specific day of Holi. Now that's a very unique style of celebrating Holi on the Holi day. He literally spent 28,800 rupees for Gujia. Secondly, Blinkit, according to Blinkit, it claims that the yellow is the most colored which was ordered from the platform itself. Also, Swiggy Instamart records 444 GPM, that is Gulal per minute. So, Swiggy Instamart also witnessed Gulal per minute 4,444 Gulals per minute. If we talk about other fun facts, it includes Swiggy Instamart. Also, a user ordered 900 water balloons from the platform, which was delivered in just 10 minutes. So, it's a long side party going on for all the balloons and colors as well. Alone in Bangalore, Bangalore witnesses approximately 5 lakh orders alone from the platform called Zepto. Also, Blinkit records highest order per minute. And not only the sales are restricted to colors or rangolis and all of it, but sales of juices and mixtures also top the list. Saw witness spiking due to the parties and holy gatherings and all. It also saw the spike, which is 2x as compared to the other. So the items which tops the charts from all the platforms are Gujia, Thandai, Gulal, water guns, balloons and white t-shirts. So these are the fun facts, these are the ways, several ways that people have celebrated in a unique style Holi this year, and all the quick commerce platforms have already broken their records as previous last year's Holi record.
Thank you so much for that, Asta. Surely we are seeing what is making the top of the charts, but let's focus to the selected chemical counters. The likes of Epigril and Sadhana Nitro are in focus. Why is that so? What's the buzz around that? Sharad is joining in with us.
Well, in focus, we are having these new companies which are the raw material manufacturers when you deal with them in the paracetamol space. Now, we are having chat with the dealers, some HNI buying coming in the counters of Epigril, which was earlier called Meghmani Fine Cap. And also, in small cap space, we are having Sadhana Nitrochem, where the buying is coming in from the HNI counters. Now, importantly, as per what Industry Connects have spoken to us, they have stated that there might be an anti-dumping duty on the works on the paracetamols raw material, which is PAP. Of course, the consultation process is going on and major announcement from the government won't be coming in because of the election code kicking in. But the raw material manufacturers, they tend to gain from this announcement, especially three names. Mostly all of them are the mid cap and small cap. Sadhana Nitrochem, we are having Epigrel, and even Valiant Labs. Now, importantly, this becomes negative also for certain manufacturers who are actually taking this as a finished good. So that will be a slight negative impact might be coming in for Granules India and IOL Chemical Pharma, because largely they are taking the imports from China. So that might get impacted, and that might get impacted in their costing as well. So this is what we are gathering from sources, and a strong HNI buying coming in Epigrel also.
For that, Sharad, we'll surely keep an eye out on that. But, Deepak, let's just talk about then some of the chemical names, right? What's your thought on these chemical players? We've seen that, they were, in terms of fundamentals, numbers, nothing exciting that had happened for them in the last couple of quarters. But now we've seen a bit of an up move coming in from them, some bit of at least positive signs coming in for these stocks. What's your view on this space?
This might be a turnaround, but usually what we've seen is when the sector's fundamentals bottom out, then the prices start moving first, and then the fundamentals start showing an uptick. So we have some eyes on some names here, but then again, we're going to validate some of them with results. We're going to take maybe small startup positions starting early next month, primarily because, if the cycle turns, it's been a little bit of a down cycle for them, 1.5 years. I think certain names will change. Over here again, some of the pharmaceutical API manufacturers may take a little bit longer to recover, I think, versus the pure play chemical names. Specialty chemicals may actually have more interest than commodity chemicals. So, but a lot of the names do both. Or sometimes one that is a little bit more heavy on commodity in one time and specialty or the other time. So it's a little bit difficult to make our picks right now, but we're going to look at the price action as an early sign and see if it's followed up by fundamental increases in profit and cash flow. And based on that, we'll probably take a call. This is a very useful quarter to make that distinction. So, April may be a good time to, start making those calls.
Talking of chemicals, Deepak, would you also look at a new area which is emerging among the chemical space by the name of performance chemicals? Stocks like Stereos Performance, or even your Gujarat Fluoro and some other, which are doing a lot of EV related chemical work. Have you looked at that zone?
No, not specifically on EV related. I think relatively small part of business, though it may be interesting going forward. I don't have much of an idea of what layer performance chemicals does to the bottom lines or top lines of these companies. So I don't have a comment upfront, I'm afraid. But thanks for that. I'll take a look at it a little more. If they seem to, you said Ineos Styrolution, is it? Or?
Yeah, there was a change of management in that company, by the way. I'll send you some good reading material offline around it. But the other area which is doing phenomenally well, Aisha just marked it, Apar Industries as well. Apar is also actually, I just checked, Aisha. Apar is
everyone's asking what's the buzz here.
So
why is this stock up
actually,
the way
Apar
it is?
has got one of the highest spare capacities for ultra high voltage wires and cables. These guys, RR Kabil and all these guys have under 10% of revenue coming in. Apar is the only one, apart from Universal, which has got 25-30% of capacity. There's probably something happening in that electrification slash that, that entire area is buzzing today. Anything else you're spotting, Aisha?
The Nifty Bank, that continues to drag. Deepak, I mean, large cap banks, they were touted to be the go-to story, star of the year, but really nothing has happened.
It's unfortunate, but I think it's just two things. There's a re-rating down, primarily because the interest margin spreads are reducing. We had an artificially wider spread because deposit costs didn't go up for a while, and now deposit costs are catching up. In fact, banks are losing CASA. As we're seeing, if you look at the weekly numbers from the RBI, overall current account and, what are called non-time deposits. So the time deposits are more of the term deposits area. That's growing okay. But non-term deposits, which are callable at any time, current and savings account balances adjusted, is actually not growing meaningfully. That's also because both corporates are getting smarter and smarter in their cash management. People are using excess cash balances to invest in either money market funds on the debt side in the market, or moving them to FDs. And that's crimping the cost. There is also a bunch of regulation that's restricting some of the growth oriented parts of bank portfolios, including retail lending and certain forms of uncollateralized lending. The lending to NBFCs has been curtailed because RBI has curtailed what NBFCs can do also on lending. So there is those factors. And then the biggest bank is HDFC Bank, which is facing a lot of challenges in terms of its merger dynamics. And I think it will still take some time to recover. So till the time that this heavyweight bank kind of does not see a clear path to back to those 20% or 15% profit increase days, I think we'll still see a muted bank index as a whole. Some of the smaller banks may recover towards the end of the year because they're more aggressive and their balance sheets are in a slightly better place.
Right. Kunal, I just want to know in terms of a couple of names, if you could pull up the charts for in terms of Voltas, Havells in this summer play. We've seen Voltas also see a bit of a run-up coming in. Anything exciting in these in terms of the charts for any of the consumer durable side?
So Voltas is a stronger name relative in terms of charts. 3 consecutive, I think, months of price appreciation for the stock. I think from sub 1000 levels or 950 was the bottom which the stock had formed a couple of months back, and from there the stock is now about that 1100 mark. Very good price volume action which you're seeing for Voltas. I think that's a more distinguishing part about the stock price this time around, because in the last phase of correction and the last stage of the rally prior to that, the stock had seen some lack of volume built up. But the first stage of rally this time, the last few months, the stock has seen a much higher volumes for itself. The open interest is also on the positive side for the stock when we looked at the data point, especially when the stock moves up higher in periods of few weeks, when a stock moves up 5% to 7% higher for itself. So I think all of that augurs very well for the stock. Would be very bullish on the stock over the medium term time scale, and I think closer to 1250 to 1350 could be a target range potentially for Voltas.
Okay. Naresh, also in terms of, have you checked out the charts of something like when you look at it in terms of Oberoi Realty, Phoenix Mills, or in terms of the realty play, anything that you would watch out for on the charts right now?
So Oberoi Realty is something which I recommended last week. The stock has broken out above that 1380 to 1400 mark, which was the top for the last 2 months. The stock had seen a good enough connection from 1550, 1600 levels. Good relative strength over the last few sessions, still looks promising. Could head up towards 1600 in the short term. In terms of realty pack, my picks remain Mahindra Lifespace and Suntech Realty, which have been 2 large companies which have not gone anywhere for the last almost 2 years as well as 5 years relatively. So those are 2 mid cap and small cap names which look promising at current levels.
No, but Phoenix Mill, there is an issue. At around 2900, it actually lasts, if you pull up the last 6 months chart, this is exactly, it goes near 2900, 2800 and tops out right from there. This time, are you saying it may cross that level? Naresh, Phoenix Mills?
Looks interesting. The stock has this tendency to keep seeing slow and steady moves. So crossing 3000 would be a short-term possibility. But once it crosses 3000, the stock does not have a tendency to make 10, 15%, 20% moves after a new all-time high. So this is a stock where you want to sell on a sharp move and buy on dips. So the structure has been same forever for the stock. So even in the last 1 year, it has had such moves wherein every time it makes a new high, goes up 3-4% and then drifts lower. So now, as of now, it looks like starting a move towards 3000, 3200.
Deepak, how's the situation now in Bangalore on waterfront?
Now you just heard people ordering 900 water balloons. So no, it's not.
Especially on Holi.
It's not that bad.
Okay, things improved.
But I think the situation is tense in the sense of people are worried that water will be a problem. So everybody's taking precautionary measures. They haven't yet done anything like cut supply of water or anything like that. So at least where I am, or the office or the home, there's no problem in supply of water. We're all taking more measures, fixing aerators in bathrooms and making sure usage of water-based washing is lesser.
Deepak,
things like that.
this is patchwork, right? This is short-term issue. The structural matter of supplies of better water management. You are from the startup community as well. At least rest of the India, we are seeing a lot of good quality startups also helping the government put kind of mechanisms in place which have better water management. Is work happening on that front? Are you seeing some good companies who are helping the government manage water crisis in a much more structural manner? Even Vatek Wabag, right? In Chennai, they have done some good work, and even overseas. Is there an opportunity?
I mean, I hope so at least, because I know there are lots of startups working on water management. In general, there are lots of people also trying to help the government from a non-government, either an organization perspective or an individual perspective. Many of them share their photos and developments on Twitter in terms of rainwater harvesting systems, in terms of filtration systems to STP, delivery systems. Most new apartment complexes have to have sewage treatment plants, otherwise they don't get an occupancy certificate. So that's happening across the board. There is a lot more work on rainwater harvesting that's happening. But I think you're right. There's no startup community effort, community-led effort. There may be individual companies doing that. Vatek, I think, it will be participating in some way in some of these, some of the initiatives taken over. But in Bangalore, the lake desilting has taken a lot more time. So the lakes haven't been able to be full. If your lakes are full of silt, the lakes will just overflow. So they've been desilting for the last 2 years, and there are organizations working with them for that as well. I think what India might eventually need is a lot more desalination across the coast, and perhaps river water for the inside or piped water. They've done it in South Sinai in Egypt, where they've actually pumped water up 700 meters from the shore from a desalination plant. And Bangalore is about 1,000 meters up. So there is hope. But but I think right now you're right. It's all patchwork, conservation efforts rather than efforts to supply 24-hour clean potable water. That is possibly what we need to look forward to. I don't see any major changes in that yet in terms of both government budgets or private participation.
Yeah, the water infra could also throw up a lot of investable opportunities as well. But Deepak, great to have you on the show as always. We'll let you go on that note.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.